I think a lot of little girls either want to become doctors or veterinarians or something cool like that. And my parents always pushed me to be whatever I wanted to be. So I was like, I want to be a doctor. But when I got to high school, science was really hard. And I was like, I don't think I want to be a doctor anymore. This is too hard. So yeah, I didn't see myself as a scientist. But deep down inside, I think I knew I could be a scientist somewhere.
I don't think I saw myself as a scientist as a girl because there wasn't cool clubs like Spectrum where I knew that I could be a scientist. I knew that I liked science. I liked my science classes. I liked to be curious about the world and ask questions about the world. But the actual title scientist, I never really gave myself.
When I was younger, I didn't really like school that much. I didn't really like science. I was very shy and very unsure of myself. And I actually remember we had our class split into two. There was an A class and a B class. And the A class, that was like the smarter kids. And the B class was kind of like the slower kids. And I was in the B class. So I never ever would have expected that I would go on to college and, you know, pursue my bachelor's in science.
Middle school for me was a very tough time. Very tough time. I come from a really poor family, and that's never easy anyway, but I think in middle school especially it's kind of a tough time because it's when you're growing a lot and things are changing, and it was a hard time for me.
My science class, my physical science class in 8th grade, all we did was watch videos. The teacher never really taught anything, and so that was the basis of my science curriculum.
Middle school was really fun. I remember spending a lot of time with my friends. I honestly don't remember doing a lot of homework.
Middle school was fun. Lunchtime, double dutch, that's all I like to do. I didn't like my classes really. I did well, probably because it was an inner city kind of type environment, so we weren't challenged. It was like, you show up, you're doing well.
I was actually born in San Francisco, but I lived for 10 years in El Salvador, so I'm Salvadorian. So I came when I was 9 or 10. So when I got into middle school, I didn't speak any English, and it was a hard transition for me. So I was put into ESL classes, and I never had science in middle school. And I always saw the same amount of people around me, and I was never able to interact with the English speaker, so I felt really like an outsider.
Middle school was a little tough. You remember it's a time when students are having these like hierarchies and like who's cool and who's not cool, and I wasn't either cool or uncool. I was sort of in the middle. I think I was starting to become what everybody was thinking of me as the nerd. But in the end, I had friends who were always in that same boat. I never let anybody tell me that I wasn't like, oh, you're such a geek or a nerd. And I always took it and I said, well, I'm proud of that. And that's, I think, why I've been successful.
In middle school, I think maybe not all students care so much about their grades, but then when people get into high school, they start caring more, and then they figure out, okay, well, who's the kid in the class who can help me with my math homework? And so then I started making a lot of friends because people were like, oh, go to Marlisa, she knows, she can help you with your biology or your math homework, and so then I had like lots of friends.
I didn't really like science until I didn't really like school at all until I got my high school year. I loved more like looking at the clouds, and I wanted to be like a weather person, and then I just didn't really want to be much of a science person. I wanted to be like a teacher or maybe like a homemaker, but I didn't really have an interest in science.
High school, it was a little different because I had more friends in high school, and I was able to speak English fluently by high school, and I wasn't in an ESL course anymore. But I was still trying to find myself in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't think that I had to choose something at that time. So I was just all over the place, but it was great. High school was awesome.
For me, I always liked school, and I always tried to be #1 in my classes, so I was really competitive. And I never got bored. And I think that's why I'm pursuing a long career to become a doctor. I think if you didn't like school, that would be hard to do.